Hello, my name is Nikki Ripley. I'm Communication and Media Relations Manager for the City of Tempe. Shortly, I will turn the mic over to Tara Ford. She's Interim Municipal Utilities Director, and that's Tara, T-A-R-A, Ford, F-O-R-D. And mine is Nikki, N-I-K-K-I, Ripley, R-I-P as in Paul, L-E-Y. So thanks for coming today. After this briefing this afternoon, we'll distribute another news release updating and kind of recapping the things we talk about here today. So you'll get that shortly this afternoon. We're also starting a dedicated YouTube playlist to get you some of the assets that we know you need and want from the area itself. So if you go to youtube.com/Tempe11video, this afternoon, you'll also see that populated with some of the things we've been able to obtain today, including interviews with staff and some B-roll drone footage, as well as also we're hoping to get some footage of what the camera showed us inside the pipe. So hopefully all that's helpful to you. I would advise that you continue to rely on ADOT for any information about the closure itself and the detours. They are really your best source of information about that aspect. So to begin here, city employees and the contractors we work with are genuinely working tirelessly around the clock to address this issue and get the issue repaired and get the roadway reopened. They're dedicated to doing this, and everyone involved is working extremely hard. We're grateful to ADOT for their partnership in this endeavor as well. They're very strong collaborators with us. Finally, before I turn it over, the City of Tempe genuinely recognizes and is sympathetic to the inconveniences that this is causing people's lives. We know that day to day, many thousands of people use this freeway to get to work, to take kids to school, any number of other things. So we recognize the inconvenience this has meant to lives around the community. And with that, Tara has some updates from today.
Yeah, so some of you all know that we had the pipe burst, and we did locate it today. As of yesterday, we did not know where that occurred, but we have located the break, and it is not underneath the freeway. It is on the north side of the freeway between the pedestrian bridge and the overpass at McClintock. So now we can focus our mitigation efforts on the where the break is, and then start remediation. And in conjunction with ADOT, because they also still have to repair that freeway, and so they will refer to ADOT for that assessment. City of Tempe will focus on mitigating any water leaking through, which we are doing. We are shutting off water in different areas, however, ensuring customers still have water and are not out of water. At this point, we have no residential customers out of water, which is our top priority also. So once we get it isolated, then we will start the repair work. And at the same time, we're going to do an assessment on this pipe to ensure and to see what other repairs possibly may need to be done or not. So as soon as we determined that it was not underneath the freeway, these are two separate issues, like I stated. We do not have a cost estimate of the repairs at this time. It's unknown. There's not an estimated time for the freeway to be reopened at this time as well. And in conjunction with this, I'd like to state that the City of Tempe was also in the midst of our water line, our transmission main assessment. So we already had that project underway, and it's just unfortunate that this happened at this time. This was very unforeseen, as this pipe is 50 years old. It is the lifespan of it. It is a steel cylinder pipe. It is 75 years. We thought that at this time, there's no reason that we thought it should fail with 25 years left on this pipe. So again, we'll assess, try to determine what caused this break, and as Nikki said, we do not want to inconvenience our residents or anyone as much as we can, and so we want to move forward with, as safely as possible, repairing this, and ADOT as well would like to do the same.
Any questions for us?
Is this the same area like during the monsoon when we have a closure for US-60?
ADOT would have to answer that question. I'd defer to ADOT.
Yesterday at the press conference, when Mark Weber, he mentioned that the transmission assessment had not yet begun. It was going to begin. I just want to make sure that I'm getting the correct clarification. Now you're saying it has already begun and then this happened.
Yeah, the process of determining, we have to get in, excuse me, in line with, so when he said we hadn't begun inspecting the pipes yet, but the process had already begun, meaning identifying those lines, putting them on a schedule when we are going to, so that process has begun. So now the actual assessment work of getting the cameras in there, assessing the pipe is a larger project because we actually, to get to some of these larger transmission lines, we have to do construction and excavate in order to even get down to them. So we had them scheduled out, we just hadn't started that portion of it yet.
Scheduled out, were you aware that that pipe in particular could be based on the assessment timeline, like identifying different pipes within the city?
No, we were not. As I said, it should have had 25 years left on that pipe.
Okay. Who makes the pipe?
I can get back to you on that. I don't have that information right now.
Okay. And then talking about the longevity of the pipe, I just want to make sure that this is correct. It burst at 50. The longevity is 75 years. Talk about your concern for other pipes because the assessment period typically takes around 5 years based on what Mark said yesterday. Are you trying to expedite that process?
On this particular line, we are. We will expedite, this will be the first one actually, and then we will go through the process from there. And again, it's going to depend on where the pipe is located, age of the pipe. There's a lot of factors that go into that because we also have our water line assessment going on as well, and we are repairing a lot of those lines in Tempe as well, which are separate from transmission lines.
Clarify again where exactly the burst was. You said it wasn't exactly under the freeway. Can you paint a little?
It was not underneath the freeway. It was, like I said, between the pedestrian bridge and the overpass, the McClintock overpass, and it was on the north side, closer to that off-ramp. When you're going westbound traffic, closer to that off-ramp on McClintock, and it's approximately 20 to 22 feet deep in that area.
Is that better news for you considering it's not underneath the highway? Because that could have been a longer process. Is that correct?
That just depends on how you would look at it, because this is going to have a lot of excavation work. However, it's half dozen one or the other type of thing.
Are residents in the area reporting any low water pressure? You mentioned that they do have water supply, which is great. Any low water pressure?
None that has been reported at this time, and we don't expect that.
I know you said you guys don't have an ETA. That's okay. But any gauge of like days, weeks, what's a realistic timeline?
That would have, for the freeway to be open, I would have to defer to ADOT for that. Yeah.
Talk about, you guys last night were able to put the camera down there, 13 feet deep, and really see where that was. Can you explain that process a little bit more in the next steps, just to make sure?
Yes, because it took a little while because again, we had to excavate to get down and to get to the pipe in order to put our camera in there. And so once the camera was in, it goes through the pipe and determines exactly, we can see where the break is. So that was our main priority yesterday, was locating the break. And then we could plan the next steps moving forward in conjunction with ADOT as well.
City of Tempe is also in the middle of what we talked about yesterday, the water rates.
Yes.
Across many years.
Mm-hmm.
Just to clarify again for the public, will they be seeing a rate increase over the next couple of years after millions of gallons of water were lost in this main break?
This break will have nothing to do with the water, will not have an impact on the water rates. We set aside in our fund dollars to address this particular thing. So no, this particular break will not affect water rates.
So ADOT keeps referring us over to you guys, and you're referring back to ADOT. When does the CUD return back to ADOT so we can kind of figure out where this is going
Yes.
with this freeway.
Well, ADOT can speak about, the opening and closure of the freeway, so that's why I need to defer to them. The pipe itself, the brake where it is, the repair on the brake, the city of Tempe can talk about.
So that has nothing to do with the freeway being open or closed at this moment any longer, since you know where the line is?
Yes, then they will be doing their assessments to determine when it can be open and what further work, if any, needs to be done in that area.
How does the city feel about how quickly or not quickly the water was turned off? I mean, 8 million gallons seems like a big number of water that was on the freeway.
Correct. I'm really happy with the ways that our crews responded. They were out there right away, did everything they could in their power. We are operating, like I said, with us, ADOT, and our contractor, FPS Civil, working around the clock 24/7. All three of us have crews out there, so I couldn't be more pleased with the shutdown.
Yesterday, there was 8 million gallons lost reported. Has that number changed? Has that number increased?
We don't have a number on that at this time. I couldn't tell you a number on that right now. That was an approximate.
It was an approximate.
Yes, it was an approximate.
It's
Were they
also
able to
important
tell
to,
if the rupture was at a connection point between two pipes?
It was not. It was on the side of the line and it was a burst on the side of the line. So it wasn't at a connection point.
And it was stated yesterday that it could be the result of erosion with soil. It could be the result of faulty manufacturing of the pipe. Any indication which direction we're going?
Not at this time.
Question that because of erosion or possible external factors, that this could in turn be a result of the ongoing climate change crisis that's happening, the temperatures that are rising.
No, I do not.
I think she's saying that cause is not yet known. It's not something that has been attributed to something specific. I did want to add quickly that the water that surfaced during this incident returns back to the stormwater system.
Once you guys do find out who makes the pipes, are you guys going to entertain the idea of a lawsuit?
That has not been determined at this time.
So it returns back to the stormwater system, and then at that point,
It goes into the aquifer at some point, somewhere down the line. It does not go into the sanitary sewer.
so it becomes stored water again.
Correct.
The ADOT workers are working around the clock. Also, City of Tempe officials are working in conjunction with ADOT.
Yes, with ADOT and with our contractor, FPS Civil.
So even though you guys are working together, no idea of like when the freeway will open?
No, not at this time.
What would be your advice to people who frequent that area, who live around that area? The ongoing advice we can just give to our viewers.
I think the ongoing advice would be to follow ADOT's guidance about detours and the best way to get around.
Are you expecting 30 minutes added for commute time? Or is that
That's guidance I also saw ADOT offer, so again, I would follow ADOT's guidance. All right. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.